This woman never knew she was married to a ghost until this shocking event happened. This is a story of 39 years old Angela, a boisterous woman of tip extraction resident in Lafia, Nigeria, until this shocking encounter turned her life around. In February 2011, in the capital city of Lafia, Nasarawa State in Nigeria, Angela encountered an alluring young man with whom she later fell in love with. A reserved, handsome stranger who exuded romantic charm that was shrouded in mystery swept her off her feet. Expectedly, her parents were full of joy when she arrived her village on a Saturday evening to commence the traditional marriage rites. But payment of the bride price was deferred because she was already pregnant and the tradition didn't allow such. Notwithstanding, they returned to Lafia. They were settled down and cohabited as a couple for over 5 years. A few months after presenting Joseph to her parents in Nasarawa State, where she hails from, she was delivered of a baby boy, a development that further lifted her soul and strengthened her bond. Within a period of 5 years, she also had two miscarriages, which she believed was an act of God. Suddenly, in March 2023, she discovered that for almost 6 years, she had been living with a dead man, whom she called her husband, the father of her child. It sounded like a fairy tale, but it was true. On that fateful day, Angela received the shock of her life after an unscheduled visit by two guests to their home on Obi Road on the outskirts of Lafia blew the veil off her ghost marriage. Her ghost husband disappeared since that fateful day with her 4-year-old son, Joseph Jr., to a world unknown, leaving her in sorrow and fear. The bubble burst when Angela, who sells oranges, wanted to rent a shop at a plaza located close to the Lafia Makurdi roundabout to expand her business. As part of the conditions, the property owner requested to meet her husband, possibly to ensure she was a responsible woman. Unfortunately, her supposed 42-year-old husband, Barrister Joseph, was too busy to meet Usman, who decided to visit the couple at home on a fateful day. He was accompanied by a mason whom Usman had contracted for a building project. He was also Tiv by tribe and was from Taraba State, which happened to be the state of origin of Joseph. The mason had joined Usman, who is the property owner in Lafia, for a trip to Abuja, but Usman decided to meet Angela's husband before embarking on the journey. He drove to the couple's home without prior notice in company with the mason, unknown to him that the mason was acquainted with Angela's husband at Andole village in Taraba State. Angela had barely ushered the visitors into the sitting room when the unexpected happened. The mason was jolted when Angela's husband emerged from the bedroom to meet his guest. There was a pin-drop silence as Joseph, popularly known as Big Joe while alive, seemed to have frozen on seeing one of his visitors. Moments later, the mason reportedly summoned courage and hailed him by his nickname, and then added the shocker, "Big Joe, but you are no more. Why are you here?" The response was a thunderous sound. When Angela and her guest recovered from the shock, her husband and child had vanished. She collapsed and went blank. After being revived, she was told her husband had died over 11 years ago, precisely December 2005, in an auto crash in Taraba State. His body, which was badly mangled, was buried some months in his village. 4 months after, members of his families were wiped out during a clash with farmers and Fulani herdsmen in the state when his village was completely razed. The mason, who said he attended Joseph's burial, had horrendous details of the event. Angela eventually pulled herself together and briskly packed her belongings out of her matrimonial home. Consumed by fear, she relocated to her village far away from Lafia, where she had toiled since 2007 and barely survived her blossoming trade in oranges. She has now realized why everything about Joseph was enigmatic, why she neither saw nor heard about members of his family and friends, why he barely spoke of his past beyond the fact that he hailed from Kanshak local government in Taraba State and his family perished during an invasion of his village by suspected Fulani herdsmen. Even though they lived in a secluded area on the outskirts of Lafia, Angela never suspected anything about her husband, who told her he was a legal practitioner and relocated from Taraba State as a result of communal crisis. Strangely, he was vehemently opposed to enrolling Joseph Jr., their only son, in a school even when he was age 4. While her son, whom she described as a lively and gentle boy, did not exhibit any strange behavior, her husband was withdrawn and often spoke about death, which unsettled her. Each time Angela complained about his quietness, he would tell her he was thinking about his people who died back at home and he would join them someday. Most times he talked about his terrible dreams, how water surrounded him while he was going to a farm. There was even a day he had asked Angela how she would feel if he slept one day and didn't wake up. There was also a day he told her he had a dream that Joseph Jr., their son, died and was buried. In all the years the couple spent together, Joseph never attended a church service even for once. He also had no friends. On the day he went to her village for introduction, two young men and a woman accompanied them. He told Angela one of the men was his uncle who came from Kaduna, while the other was his friend from Makurdi. He also said the woman was with them to represent his mother and was a relative from Makurdi. Since then, Angela had not seen any of them after they accompanied them to her village, but sometimes they talk on phone. When Angela delivered her son, her mother visited and spent some days with the couples, but none of those people who accompanied them came. Whenever Angela raised the issue, Joseph would give series of excuses. There was a time he promised taking her to his village in Taraba, but he later changed his mind on the grounds that herdsmen had taken over their community and Angela became afraid. About 2 years before her shocking discovery, Joseph kept traveling and hardly stayed around. All along, he gave Angela the impression that his village had been razed completely by herdsmen, and because of the stories of insecurities, Angela was convinced. She never knew she was married to a dead man. But how did Angela meet Joseph? In 2007, Angela relocated from her village to Lafia with the assistance of Veronica, a close friend who sold oranges. Since Angela wasn't educated and couldn't farm, her late father raised the sum of 6,000 naira for her and encouraged her to set up a business. She later joined her friend in the orange business, which made her travel frequently to purchase the fruits in interior villages of Benue State where they were cultivated in large quantity and were sold at cheap prices. In February 2011, Angela boarded a taxi at Makurdi to Lafia with about 6 sacks of oranges which filled up the back seat. She was charged 2,500 naira by the driver. However, as the case may be, she had run out of money due to excess spending, and so she pleaded with the driver to collect 2,000 naira. A young man in black suit who was seated in front offered to make up the balance of 500 naira so they could move immediately. He said he was in a hurry for an important appointment in Lafia. As they commenced the journey, a conversation ensued. He told her he was starting life afresh in Lafia and they exchanged contact. Eventually, they started an affair which led to marriage within a short period. Before then, he lived in a lonely area secluded from people. Throughout the period of their marriage, he did not go back to his village to pay the bride price as he had earlier promised her family. He kept giving excuses, but Angela's family exercised patience with him because he catered for them. He solved every problem to which his attention was drawn. Sometimes in March 2017, Angela decided to rent a shop at a plaza along Lafia Makurdi roundabout, as earlier stated, to expand her business. She was told to come along with her husband, but she told the landlord how busy her husband was. However, the landlord offered to visit their home on a Saturday. Angela forgot to tell her husband about Alhaji's visit, which eventually would lead to the shocking discovery. On that fateful Saturday, Alhaji visited the couples as promised. However, he didn't come alone. He came with a thief man who relocated from Taraba State to Makurdi, who knew her husband while he was alive and attended his funeral when he died. That was when Angela's world crashed like a pack of cards. She had no clue her husband had died before, but she later believed because if it wasn't true, he wouldn't have vanished with their only son. And according to the Mason, he knew Joseph very well. He wasn't a qualified lawyer. In fact, he had obtained a diploma in law at the Benue State University sometimes in 2002. They both used to live together in Taraba State. The Mason also went ahead to present photographs as evidence. And according to the Mason, Joseph had died in an accident in 2005. And until this day, Angela is yet to recover from her shock. This is the true life story of Angela and Joseph, her ghost husband. So guys, this was the sad and tragic story of Angela and Joseph. A lot of people still find it hard to believe, but trust me, it happens. Do well to drop your honest comment in the comment section. If you've experienced it before, make sure you drop it in the comment section so others can learn. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you.